begin. Clap, 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 clap. Hello, everybody out there in podcast land and on American Hammers TV. We are the Columbus E13 back again for another podcast. Thank goodness, this time after a victory. We love it. Let's get bigger than that.
Bad bloody time.
Fantastic. I wish it had been against Spurs, but Chelsea's not bad. I want to welcome my special guest tonight, another one of our UK expats who lives here in Columbus now, Mr. Dean Park. How you doing, Dean?
Very well, very well. Thank you very much.
That's excellent. Dean found our group last year, right? Beginning of last year? Might even be 2 years ago.
2 years, yeah.
And you and your lovely daughter used to come down. She would dance in the bubbles at Three-Legged Mare as often as you could. Dean lives in kind of like the outskirts of Columbus, but he makes it down as often as he can.
Yeah, it's I live about half an hour away now. When I first moved here, we lived a bit closer,
right?
So it was a lot easier to get here. But now it's a struggle. But and my daughter now wants to get a bubble machine in the house. We do have one, but it's never got any bubbles in.
Yeah,
we don't actually at the moment. We don't have much.
I'll give you
much time to actually use it.
I can give you my Amazon links.
You can. So,
of course, if you're only going to be using it when West Ham scores, the bubbles last a long time.
They dry up.
Indeed, they do. I was wondering if you could give the people out there a little bit of background on where you come from, how you became a West Ham fan, and eventually how you found us.
It's a long story.
Go ahead.
So born 77. So you just had a little program there. That's
right. From my buddy Tim at American Hammers TV.
A month after I was born. I got brought up in the East End of London. Born in Whitechapel, and just kind of grew up in the area, Limehouse, Isle of Dogs, which is only a few miles away from West Ham. So West Ham, my local team.
Sure.
Dad supported West Ham, brother supported West Ham, uncles, aunts, etc. So my granddad didn't. He was a Charlton fan.
Oh my God!
So yeah, thanks to my daddy chose West Ham.
Well, at least your parents brought you up, right?
Yeah, they grew up my dad grew up in Poplar, so which is a stone's throw away really from Cannon Town. So yeah, he obviously and all his school friends would have supported West Ham.
Okay.
So got me in. I think I was going. My earliest memory, I think, was about 5, 6 years old. I think I was going. So my daughter's age now, and he used to take me to. First of all, I think it was on the east, either on the east side, Chicken Run, or the west kind of upper seats. And my uncle always had a box there, so we kind of go often with
fancy.
him and have a meal and stuff. Yeah. So, and then just many years going in the North Bank with Dad. We would travel there in my uncle's van, a little white van, and me and my brother would be sat in the back in the van, no seatbelts,
rolling around in the back.
Yeah, just banging
around in a utility van,
trying to get there through the rush hour traffic down the A13 and ducking and diving away to through past Stratford, actually, where we play now.
Okay.
And that used to be our route there because the traffic was horrendous, and we used to have a milk crate. We used to stand on a milk crate.
Used to stand on it in the van?
No. Sit on it in the van, and then when we got to the ground, we would stand on it because we weren't tall enough. We was only young, 6.
Sure.
And at the big metal bar, kind of like in the stands there, where we would kind of stand there and just watch the game, and it was crazy. Like when we scored, I mean the surges forward and stuff was like mental.
It's like a sea of people.
Yeah. Like you just remember like when you scored, like your dad's arms just wrapped around you real tight, just holding on to you.
That's awesome.
And then a few years later, then my brother's older than me, so die-hard West Ham fan. as well, and he'd go down to South Bank, and which is right next to the away fans. And back in those days, it was rough.
So he was a troublemaker. Your brother was a troublemaker.
I'll tell you a story about that now.
I know about the guys that sit over there.
Since we're segueing into that, and I'll get back to how I found you guys in a minute. So yeah, one time we'd go. I'd go with my brother. Like my dad didn't know. I was just because my mum and dad divorced, right? So I'd stay at mum's, and I'd go to West End with my brother James.
Okay.
And he took me to the south. He wouldn't go to North Bank. He's going to South Bank with his mates. He would leave me at the front because I was a lot younger. Maybe I was 10, 10 to 13 maybe.
Right.
And he'd leave me at the front, again by a bar. This time I was tall enough. And he'd go up the back, and like just with all the obs. Okay. And just go mental. And one time, I'm like, I don't know who was playing, but it was crazy, in the South Bank, everyone jumping up and down and whatever. And
you're 10.
And maybe 10 to 13. That was the age grade. I can't remember exactly. Next thing I know, my brother's getting walked out by the police.
Oh my God! How old was your brother?
6. So if I was 13, he was 16.
Okay,
right. He's getting walked out by the police because that's whatever it was he was doing.
Right.
And then I remember like people shouting at the coppers, kind of go, "Oh, he's just a kid, leave him alone." But obviously he got a little bit too excited.
Probably trying to give an away fan a massage across the aisle.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Or maybe they look thirsty, so maybe kind of gave him he filled his empty bottle and chucked it over. I think it was pretty much what I did back in those days.
One of the very first impressions I ever had, because I went to a handful of Upton Park games, and my very first one I've told on the show a bunch of times was in '97. I was in the upper deck area of the area, like right behind the castles.
Yep.
So I didn't right. That's the west side. So I'm like looking over to my left where the away fans were, and I saw this. Basically, I've never been to a football game, not a real football game. Okay, and like 4 rows, like a whole section was just like curtained off. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. With big West Ham logos, like. And then you saw the absolute most rowdy fans on the right hand side, and then the away supporters looking very sheepish, usually, if at all, on the left hand side of that. Yeah. And I was like, "What is going on over there?" That was like one of the very first impressions that I had. Well, I mean, a lot happened even before I got in the ground, but yeah, it looked pretty crazy over there.
Yeah, that's where my season ticket was.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? So eventually you were in there making some trouble.
Yeah. Eventually, it became all seater, and, after that, the rowdiness stopped, right? The seating and that stopped all the rowdiness, right?
Sure.
People couldn't jump up and down and get the atmosphere going. And but yeah, when I got season ticket, I've been going for like pretty much every game since I was a kid, right?
Right.
Until I moved away, and I'd always go with dad, or my brother, but generally my dad. And so in the end, I got a season ticket, so I'd just buy them for me and my dad because I was working at this point, like in my 20s, and but I'm like, that's where I want to sit.
Right.
I want to sit right by the away fans, because that's where the real atmosphere was. Sure. In my opinion, obviously there'll be people listening that want to be. That was in other places, and that's what they want. But for me, that was what football was about. Was about that banter. Because a lot of the games, you go to them and they were dull, really, really boring. It's freezing cold, not as cold as here, but freezing cold. And you just kind of going, this game is crap.
Right. You got to entertain yourself somehow.
So we would just pick a fat guy in the away fans, and we'd just start picking on him, or we'd find someone that looks like someone famous, and we'd just start picking on him, and just they had bad banter back and stuff, and that was football. Right? That was like football back in the that's what it was about. It was about having banter with the other fans.
So you're like one of these original guys who helped give West Ham fans both the best reputation in the league and the worst.
No. I think the worst one was there was definitely some shady people around us. We heard conversations going on about stuff that was happening, like away from the ground.
Right.
It was like it's all
like real hooligan stuff.
Yeah, real like prearranged stuff. Like just people they'd leave at halftime.
Goodness.
To go over the other side of London to go and meet, and it might even be. And often they'd be talking about meeting up with other fans that were also travelling, but wasn't the team we were playing.
Right.
So Like, I've no idea what went on there. But,
Just firm stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you were sitting in and around most of those guys.
Yeah,
anyway.
so you'd hear the conversations going.
Well, at least after the half, it became a little less crowded in the stands, right?
Exactly right.
Right.
So fast forward a few years, I then actually moved to Australia.
Okay.
When I was 31, and
you see, I didn't know that part.
Yeah,
you never told me that.
yeah.
You know, I saw the other day on Instagram that your children were both born in Australia.
Yes, right. Yeah, I posted that yesterday. Or the day before. So I moved to Australia, 2008, and I found on Facebook the Sydney Hammers.
Okay.
I've been searching for a while.
Wow, it had to be really, really early or really, really late.
Yeah. Games are tough, really tough. But,
Sure.
But yeah, I remember going down my first ever game. I can't remember who it was against, and as soon as I walked in there, it was a very friendly group, just like you guys, right? I mean, It was just very friendly. Everybody would kind of like, would greet you.
Sure.
You're one of them, right? You go in with your colours and stuff. All of a sudden, you're walking in a pub and you're like,
we're a family.
Everybody's in their claret and blue. And you're like, wow. And then, back in Australia, there's a massive expat community, right? So pretty much most of them, like 95% odd, was expats, right?
Wow.
So I'm hearing like local accents and stuff, which I hadn't heard for a while. And
right.
So it was like home from home. And I remember, Simon Mann, who was running at the time, he stood by the door, and every person who came in, particularly new faces, he'd go up and talk to and greet them and make sure that they felt welcome and stuff.
Don't know the man, love him already.
Yeah. Look up Sydney Hammers. I mean, they were great. I mean, and you have a lot of people traveling through Australia and through Sydney.
Sure.
So they have
huge city. So
yeah, they have a lot of people just passing through. So whenever they do, people will come up and just turn up. For the and a great memory was when we won the playoff final.
Coming back up, great escape season.
Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Right, so this pub that we was in, it was a sea of claret and blue. It was about 450 people in the pub. The people had to go to the pub across the road.
450 West Ham fans.
West Ham fans in a Sydney pub.
Wow.
Watching. And they had to overflow was a pub next door because they didn't have it was too busy.
Oh my God.
And obviously we scored really late on to get the win, I think it was, and it was just it went off. That was one of the biggest nights.
That's incredible.
And my brother was there again, so my brotber had moved
over. What time of day did that game start? I mean, if you were at the pub for that, are we talking about like 11 o'clock at night? I have no concept.
I can't remember what time of year is it. So it's August. Yeah, I don't know. No, it was May time, isn't it?
What's the time difference between GMT?
So generally games would be early season games would be like 9 o'clock. Start between 9 o'clock and sort of midnight starts, and then when the clocks change, and when the clocks change, it'd be anything from midnight to 3 a.m. start.
That seems actually a little easier to deal with than like sometimes with the 7:30 games here.
It's easy to drink.
Well, that's what really matters, right?
It's a lot easier to drink. You kind of go,
sure. Yeah, well, you're going out to the club, basically.
Yeah, it's fine. And that night me and my brother moved over. He followed me to Australia,
right?
And so he was there with me. So I had that magical moment of us kind of going mental in the pub with my brother, which was like took me right away
in
back.
In a pub with 450 West Ham fans in it.
YouTube it when we're done, right? Have a look at YouTube, the bowl-in for that game and the Sydney Hammers pub for that game, right?
Okay.
You can't tell the difference between where those places were.
That's fantastic.
Could easily been in the East End.
I mean, obviously they have huge supporters groups all over. I didn't realize anything was that big, like at a single place away from East London, but wow.
It was mental.
That's awesome.
Mental.
So when did you move to Columbus then?
2 years ago. 2 years ago, October.
Okay. And how'd you find us?
Same thing. I just went online. I just started looking up West Ham. I mean, I came over here for a visit in the September, and there was a game on that weekend. I was here for 1 week, which had 1 weekend in it. And I was like, I got to see a game. I got to watch a game.
I remember you messaging me on Facebook just asking if it was going to be, if the one game or another was on, and I was like, yeah, all the games are on.
Yeah. I was like, I told my wife, I was like, Jim, They got West Ham supporters.
You probably got all disappointed when you got there and there wasn't 450 people there.
No, not at all. I mean, obviously, I didn't know what. I mean, I was just pleased that you guys existed, right? And that was just like, wow, I've got a place to go. I've got somewhere I can go and watch games with fellow West Ham fans. And it was great, you know. And I met that night, obviously, that morning, I met you. And a couple of others, and I met Eric.
Eric Holtz.
Yeah. You know, and
he hasn't been on yet, but we're going to have him on.
Yeah, great guy. And he just it's like my first 3-4 days in the country. And he was like, do you want to tour the place? Like, I'll give you a tour of downtown, and Short North and everything. Like this afternoon, after the game. I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Well, at the time, he lived about half a block from the pub.
Yeah. So, you know, so he then took me out for the afternoon. I'm like, this is a nice warm welcome. It's just because I'm a fellow Hammer. Right. You know, a fellow, fan. And he just was like, it took me under his wing. That was enough for him to say, yeah, this guy's good.
You know, the thing is, the camaraderie that I've always discovered, and I meet up with other West Ham fans, whether they're in the States or especially from the UK, everybody that we've met. There's even been a guy the past couple of weeks at Pub Mahone, which you haven't been to yet because you live so far away. But there's been a guy past couple of weeks that's from Plaistow? Plaistow.
We get pronunciations later.
Help me, Plaistow? Plaistow. Yeah. Hey, I got it right eventually. Yeah. Gary, and he was at the Spurs game. I didn't see him, because I sit so close to the screen, like I'm almost as close as I am to these screens in front of us. Wow. Looking up in the air because there's just so much gear and the projector and everything, and everybody else sits behind me. So he's sitting all the way back at the bar, and I'm cleaning up all this stuff. And at the end of the game, he just asked me if we were going to have the Chelsea game on, and he had such a thick Cockney accent, I almost couldn't understand him because I can't really hear. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what was that? And he's like, are you going to have Chelsea on? I'm like, absolutely, we're going to have Chelsea on. And he's like, okay, well, I'm here working. Well, the end of the game, he's going to be here in the States. I think he leaves for New York in a week, and then he'll be back in London for Christmas time. Yeah. And you're going back over, right?
Sunday.
You're going Sunday.
Yep, Sunday, and I've got the Arsenal game on Monday.
Oh, you're going to go to that?
Yeah. So, man, I'm so lucky now. So I was back a month ago, and it was so I've not been back for a year and a half, but I've still got my season ticket.
Okay.
And I went back a month ago for work, all paid, international break. I'm like, you're kidding me. Going back for Christmas break. The only game that I was supposed to have on was the Liverpool game. Got moved because of that stupid...
I don't even think it's been rescheduled yet. It keeps saying postponed.
Yeah, and I was hoping it'd get rescheduled for the midweek that week, right? Or the following week, because I'm still there. But and then they moved the Arsenal game from the Saturday, which is the day before I fly, to the day after.
Right. So you'll be able to go.
Yeah.
Hey, well, look at that.
Yeah, and my best mate, he's an Arsenal fan, so he's going to come to the game with me and my dad as well. So he knows not to say anything. He's a bit wise.
That's good. It's not like the bullying though.
No, but also where we sit now as well in the new stadium, it's not the same as where we were back in the bowling. So, right. It's a bit more kind of safer to have.
Are you going to be around the week of Christmas, or are you going to? Are you going to go?
There, yeah.
Are you going to go to the Leicester game?
No. I come back on. Oh, that's when's
that's the 28th.
No, I fly back on the 27th.
Ah, gotcha.
So I missed that one too. So literally, the only one I was supposed to have seen was Liverpool, which would have been amazing. I mean, being a West Ham fan over the years, it's like you kind of accept that they're not.
The games get moved around.
No, you accept that they're not the best team in the world, right?
Okay.
But you then go and see them play Liverpool, and then you see the best players in the world doing the best football in the world, right? And it's just like a pleasure, it's like pleasure and pain, right? You're seeing your team not do so great, but you're also seeing the best football in the world,
top talent,
right? So you kind of as a football fan, it's great to kind of watch, right? I remember years ago watching like Shearer come down and play against us when he played for Newcastle, and just what he did off the ball and his movement and stuff. And he was a dirty git off the ball, man. He would just rough up defenders constantly, and get away with it. But you just watch them, like you just watch their movement and stuff. And as a football fan, you
got to appreciate the skill.
Step back from the West Ham love and passion. You want them to do well, but as a football fan, I mean, you get to see. All the top players come down and play each week, and it's awesome.
That's great. That's great. So you're excited for Arsenal next Monday?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Are you worried about it?
Of course I'm worried about it. It's Arsenal, right? I mean, they're always a side that can turn it on, right? And we're always a side that can, we're hot and cold, right? I mean, look at you got the scores up there, right? The wins and losses, right? 4-4-6. I mean,
so they ended up drawing with Brighton. Is that right? Is this webpage right? Yeah, 2-2.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that was Norwich. Wait. Okay, so is this page like a half a day behind? What's going on here?
Maybe I know we've got 4-4-6, right? 1-4 drawn 4. And
that's got West
6,
Ham's
right?
win. Okay, and then Arsenal.
But I mean, the Arsenal game's always an interesting one, right? It's a London derby, but it never feels like a London derby. It just kind of like, I think over the years, I think it almost felt like the fans kind of accepted that Arsenal were a league above us, and the Tottenham game, the Chelsea game, it was always the fans are up for it, right? And the opposite, and to be fair, the Arsenal fans don't.
Well, at least the fans are always giving them those two teams the business. That's for sure.
That's right. Whereas the Arsenal, it's pretty quiet, right? Which is the library where they come from, right? I mean, it's never big crowd, never big noisy over there, right? It's generally a pretty tame event, and I think the last game I went to 2 years ago when I went home, see an Arsenal game again, and I think it was like a boring 0-0 or boring 1-1 or something. It was a dull game, but it's I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Going to game with my dad is going to be awesome.
Sure,
but it's this season. We just don't know. It's Martin came in and kind of him and Antonio come in and saved us on. We're probably going to get to the game in a second, right?
Sure.
But they come in and they changed the feeling of the team.
The feeling and the way that these guys played this past week. Wow, you know what I mean? I mean, you could see it from jump.
Yeah.
It was almost like during the Spurs game, there were a couple of guys you could see that kind of like had that fever. But then, like, for instance, like Yarmolenko, who I absolutely love, Yarmo, he looked like he was, I think somebody wrote, he wasn't interested. You know what I mean? I thought he just looked like he was asleep. There was, by and large, people out there that didn't seem like they were putting forth the effort. Who knows why? Maybe there's locker room problems. Maybe people are beat up. Maybe people are tired. But they came out with a full head of steam, 2 full heads of steam this past week, and just never let anything down. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. It just, I mean, as soon as I saw Martin and Antonio on the score sheet, and I didn't know what Martin was capable of. I didn't know, obviously he's not.
I don't think anybody really did.
No, but I think his age and his maturity.
Sure.
And from what I understand, he's a bit of a leader off the pitch. In terms of on the training ground, kind of like there to kind of show a little bit of maturity around the ground, around training and stuff, and discipline, all that kind of stuff. He's a seasoned pro.
Sure.
He just hasn't made it in the big time.
He's played for like 10 different teams. Yeah. But this was his first Premier League game. But the thing is, he's got West Ham in his heart. Yeah,
and if he is a leader, apparently, I mean, I think one of the commentaries on the TV at the weekend was sort of saying, he's bossing around the back four and whatever. And I just kind of wonder, is that something that Roberto wasn't doing, right? And you kind of got to think it because, at that level...
There were tons of stories about the fact that he could barely communicate with the guys that were out there.
Yeah.
And that one of the reasons that they were playing Balbuena was because he spoke Spanish.
Right.
Did you hear about that?
No, I did not hear about that.
I mean, look...
that makes sense.
Look, I'm not a soccer expert, okay? I absolutely have unending passion for this team and for the Columbus Crew. It's my local team here. But when it comes right down to tactics, I pretty much learned what I'm supposed to be doing from FIFA. Okay. So, I by no means am I going to like raise my hand if somebody goes, what should we do on the pitch? I'm not the guy, but knowing that a keeper is probably the most important guy on the pitch because he's organizing the defense when the teams are attacking, when they're coming at him, he's like, hey, watch over this guy, He's organizing, getting everybody together. You got to be able to communicate with everybody out there. If you can't, then there you go.
Yeah,
it's like Swiss cheese out there.
And you know what? And that makes absolute sense, right? Because at the level of the Premiership, right? The difference between the Premiership and like the lower levels isn't like, it's a skill, but it's that decision making, like instant decision making, right? They react and do the same thing as someone lower level, but they do it a lot quicker, right?
Right.
They get to it a lot quicker because their mind just can. So if you're hesitant because you're not sure about your goalkeeper and you're a little bit off your game because you're not sure about the guy behind you,
right?
Like you're going to get beaten up,
right?
Because you got
to have absolute trust for the guy.
Yeah, because otherwise you're kind of second guessing it. You're moving out of position to try and cover for something because you're not quite sure. And that makes absolute sense if the keeper's not thinking. And maybe that's the reason why Martin came in and did a decent job, because he's able to communicate across that back line and give everybody, hey, you guys just go and do your job. I'll tell you when I need you to do something extra.
Right.
Right.
I almost just want to believe it was just because it meant so much to him. I mean, did you see the scenes where he went up in the stands and hugged his dad and like right after the ref blew the whistle? I mean, he dropped to his knees and just started weeping.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You know what I mean? The whole team comes over and helps him up. And I guess Noble's been quoted as saying, like, when he saw Martin drop to his knees, he almost like got kind of weepy about it. And,
Yeah, I love that. And there's a clip of Declan running straight over to him. Like, literally, as soon as the whistle went, he just made an absolute beeline, sprinted over to him and gave him, like, the biggest hug and whatever.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what, that's...
Declan was in a very good mood after the game. Did you hear his post-game comments?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Here, look.
All I want to say is, I'm sorry to all the West Ham fans that we give heart attacks to every week. But today, that's probably one of the best days of my life.
I mean, how can you beat that guy?
I love it.
I love it too.
I mean, if we keep him, he's going to be the Noble takeout.
Well, right now he's 2024 or 2022. I thought it was 2024.
Contracts mean nothing in football. They mean nothing.
Ouch.
Yeah, they don't. It's money.
Yeah, but he wants to play at West Ham.
He does. He does right now. Right? Whether or not ambition will get the better of him, he might have had you just don't know, right? I mean,
right.
Rio was a West Ham through and through, right? And, academy and stuff, but then money talked.
Right.
Went to Leeds.
Well, hey, guy's driving around a Range Rover.
Yeah, right, yeah. So he's
which doesn't mean anything.
He's either a footballer or he's up to something else.
Right.
In the extent that means.
There was a prank thing that was on YouTube, a couple weeks ago, where Noble got a couple of guys out there that were fake parking attendants, where him and Ryan Fredericks were inside playing a game of Name the People from FIFA. Did you see that video?
No.
So basically, him and Ryan Fredericks were inside filming a West Ham video where they were holding up badges of people in FIFA. And whether the rendering of the person in FIFA was a good face or a bad face. And that was a whole other video. While they were filming that, Noble was outside hooking up his Range Rover. Like hooking it up with a fake parking attendant and putting a stop on it so like he couldn't drive away, like he had parking tickets. And he came out and he kind of half blew his top. You could see like he was just about to get ill about it. And then Noble showed up. It was pretty good. He was pretty riled up about it. But anyway, you can look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it. I just haven't had the time to.
But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that these guys really do love each other. You know what I'm saying? So especially those two guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like mini me, right? It's like, hey, I've been waiting for you to come along to take my take my title. Like, I'll stay around.
Future captain.
I'll stay around until you're ready.
Until you're ripe.
Right. And there's you can see it happening, right? You can see it happening on the pitch.
Absolutely.
Noble is I'm pretty sure he's just he's getting Rice ready to do it. And again, like the way Rice reacted and went straight to the player it meant the most to.
Absolutely.
That is leadership right there.
Class.
Right? That it really is. I loved it.
He was also on the F2's YouTube this week. Do you know who the F2 is?
No.
Okay, so the F2 are a couple of YouTube superstars. They're really, really funny. They're both from North London. One of them's hardcore Arsenal. One of them's hardcore Tottenham.
That's a shame.
But they're probably good enough to play for almost any team. And every once in a while, they will play in the big charity matches, England versus the world and that kind of stuff. But they basically do these trick shot and techer tutorials. Yeah. Anyway, their videos are really cool. And this week they had Declan Rice on. And it's so funny, you didn't realize that the two of them were so short until Declan Rice is towering over them. But I mean, some of the stuff they were pulling out. So, I highly recommend the F2. They're really, really cool to watch on YouTube. And this week's episode was with Declan Rice. It was really, really cool. So the game at the bridge just freaked me out. You know what I mean? I first of all, I've seen them come out like gangbusters like that before, and then it just kind of dies down. And the last 10 minutes, I wasn't just chewing my nails. I think I started chewing my fingers to the bone. But wow, what a result. And I don't know if you saw Antonio's comments when he was basically they had a game plan. They weren't going to let him come up the middle. I guess Chelsea comes up the middle a lot. They were going to let him have the ball. So Chelsea overwhelmingly had a bigger percentage of possession, but they weren't going to let him go up the middle. They were kind of forcing him to the outsides, and they were going to take their chances when they did. But he was just it was a great day. We got in the end, a bit of luck that we ended up winning it, 1-0 because he had, I think, 3 or 4 chances he thought that he could have scored, which were all legitimate. That first header, oh my God, that thing was a laser, and Snodgrass threw it in there, or he crossed it in there, and man, I've never seen a header come off that hard and get caught.
Yeah, and that's crazy, right? I mean, and that's what Antonio brings to the game, right? He just chucks himself.
He's a demon.
Yeah. But his skill level not no good.
Yeah,
right? But no, I don't think so. He's just in the right place. He's just tenacious, right?
He's just a big locomotive coming at you down the field, too.
If you and it's a game of probability, right? I mean, if he puts himself in enough chances, then one of them's going to come off.
Right.
And you kind of miss that with Haller, right? The amount of times the ball comes in the box in the last few weeks, and he's just been flat-footed and not even attacking it. And the ball's just gone in front of him. Great cross,
something's going on there.
And he's just standing there going, you're a striker. How are you not...
he's turned a little bit into the Chicharito poacher kind of guy. If it's not right at his feet, it's not going to do it. He wasn't like that the first couple of games of the season.
No, he was all over the place.
Did you see every game he tried to see some crazy flying reverse bicycle kick? I haven't seen that in the past. How many games were we winless? 7?
Yeah.
He has come off a little flat. Truth is, I mean, when Antonio came off, I was like, oh... and I knew, and I think Sebastian Haller's awesome. I still call him Haller. But I was a little disappointed, but I mean, look, the guy was Antonio was there was nothing left.
I'm done. I'm out.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what was the game last year when he wanted to come off and they weren't taking him off, so he just laid down? Remember that?
He did the same this week.
Yeah. I think that he saw that they were going to bring him out, so he, feigned some kind of injury. Okay, they're going to take him out.
Apparently, he might be out for the Wolves game.
Who's going to be out?
Antonio might be out for the Wolves game. Apparently, a bit of a quad strain.
I didn't
probably a
read
dead
that.
leg, if anything, but.
Dude, get that man some pure oxygen.
Exactly.
Put him in the deep freeze tank until day after tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, but he had almost 90 minutes, didn't he?
I think he came on 77.
Was it that? Oh wow, it seemed later in the game. But it's.
Maybe it was an 80th.
Yeah, but he's only just come back from injury.
Right.
Normally, you come back from injury, and if you've got a full squad, you're getting 15 minutes this game, half an hour in the next game.
Yeah, but they needed his fire, and they needed on Wednesday.
They literally just chucked him in the deep end.
Wolves are 6, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're 6.
So look, they draw a lot. 1-4.
That's true.
Drawn 8. right? That's got draw written all over it.
It does. Lots of D's up here.
Yep.
Okay.
Draw on 8. Lost, but hard to beat. Only lost 2 all season,
Definitely hard to beat.
but don't win much.
What do you think about? Okay, well, before we talk about Wolves, like, so how are you feeling about Pellegrini before this last game?
It's a bit hard, man. I didn't understand why he wasn't playing someone like a Martin, right?
Right.
Like why, or even someone in the under 23s.
Still don't understand.
Or someone, you're like, what's wrong with the under 23s? I mean, they're old enough.
It's like every game when the lineup was announced, Mark Rosson would come in because I usually do the podcast with him, and he would come in. Well, did you see the lineup? And I'm like, is it different? And he would go, nope.
Yeah. So and I was a bit concerned. No, I didn't necessarily want him out. And, because you kind of go, well, they're making decisions for, you assume the right reason, right? They're seeing stuff that we don't see at training.
And you make a lot of
stuff,
assumptions about stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. But then it's like, well, why would you keep sending out the same 11 that's just got smashed and just got like, make a statement, right?
Well, he did. I think it was like,
you did
somebody else's way or the highway.
Hallow off, Antonio on as well,
and Masuaku back in the game.
Yep.
Back on the bench and on the field.
Yeah,
Not that he had any time to do anything. Now he came in really late. I think he came in like the 88th minute or something like that.
Yeah, I think maybe a bit longer, but
like where has he been?
But he played on the left wing though.
That's
which
true.
I think is where he should play.
Right.
A left winger who can actually defend when he needs to. Not great, but he can defend. But he's awesome going up.
Right.
Going forward, and that's what he wants to do.
Right.
I play him on the left wing.
And he's another like really aggressive guy too. Like sometimes,
Well, you still remember the spitting incident a few years back.
And there been was it a few years back? It was like just I think it was just this last year. Yeah.
Oh, it just seems like
it was a 3-game ban for that.
Yeah.
It's not like he hit somebody in the helmet or with his own helmet.
Yeah, but socially, and that was a social ban, right? I mean, because socially, spitting is like one of the worst forms, right?
Yeah,
it's just like,
definitely
It's
disrespectful.
like dropping the C-bomb, right? It's like, oh no, you can't do that. Like you can swear at someone, but you can't drop the C-bomb. I mean, no, that's just you can't do that. So spitting's like that.
A C-bomb? Isn't a C-bomb like way more like acceptable in the UK? It's like it's like calling somebody a dick.
Yeah, see you next Tuesday. No. Still unacceptable.
Right.
Widely used.
Well, when there's children.
Yeah, widely used, but generally not in front of...
I mean, that's a cardinal sin in the States. That word is terrible.
Oh, really? Yeah, see, we won't use it in front of women or children.
Okay.
If you're a guy.
Well, thank God for that.
But then, you hear girls say it too. You're like, well...
My very first West Ham game, the lady sitting next to me sure did say it a lot. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, that's the people that go West Ham.
Well, there you go. So, after the win, how do you feel about Pellegrini now? Do you feel any different about Pellegrini?
I'm glad he made a change. I mean, I was hanging out for him to make a change. Right?
Yeah, but do you feel like his hand was forced? Or do you feel like this was his intuition, this was his idea? Somebody held his feet to the fire. Masuaku hasn't even been on the bench for the past 3 or 4 games. Where people were like, where is he? He just got a new contract. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like somebody said, hey, look, shithead, you got to do something now. I don't know. It seemed like his hand was forced. Ultimately, he makes the decision. But, he doesn't want to be out of a job, whether or not he wants a big payday and sit around on a couch anyway.
Was it forced, or did he just kind of go, you know what, maybe his thing is I'll give the players a few games to get it right? I'll give them their opportunity and then to get it right and show my faith in them, right?
Sure.
As a leader, all right, you lost today, all right, well, next week I've got faith in you, go out again, all right? So, and then maybe he just kind of goes, all right, third time, 3 in a row, nah, sorry guys, I got to make changes now. Right. You've had your chance.
Right.
I've now got to make changes. So maybe it was something like that, right? Maybe he wanted to give Roberto, a good run of games, and maybe wanted to give Hallow a good run of games, and maybe just wanted to do that, right? And just kind of show faith in your players.
Sure.
Hey, you've got this. You've got it, right? As a people manager, you've got this. But then,
except for during those games, especially Roberto, he didn't have it.
No,
Right.
I did not.
Right.
But then, but as a manager, what do? Do you just kind of go after the second loss? You kind of go, all right, no, done with making changes, or do you go, you got it, Kev.
Right.
You got it, Kev. Go on, just go and prove me right. Don't worry about that. Don't be depressed. Just go and do. You've got this. We know you've got this, right? Because I believe in you. Does he do that, or does he just kind of go, yeah, you messed up?
Well, he's got to stick
you're
kind of
out,
like
right?
with whatever game plan worked. I mean, you got to imagine that Martin is now like won that spot at least until Fabianski gets back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, if we...
Not at least. Once he's back, he's in.
Right. Well, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's already in training of some kind.
Yeah.
They were showing videos last week of him in at least light training, whatever light training means. Somebody was throwing a ball at him inside.
Yeah. And he was just standing there.
Right. He wasn't
just been hit.
He was catching. Just standing there.
As a foam ball.
I mean, I'm seeing the game. I'm seeing the Leicester game.
Oh, you are, aren't you?
Yeah. Heather and I are going over for Christmas and New Year, so we'll be in Edinburgh most of the time. But we're going to come down to London for the December 28th game.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
I'm hoping to see Fab that day. Of course, the thing that's scary. Like, they already say he's due to come back in January, maybe late December. The thing that's scary is like his first game back, he's going to be rusty. You know what I'm saying? Against Leicester. And they're having kind of a shitty year, huh?
Yeah. You know what? It does me in when I see Leicester doing well because, they're just a team like us, right?
They are.
And it's like you kind of, for years, you kind of, no, it's West Ham. We're not supposed to be kind of up there in the top echelons of the league. It's all right. We know our place.
And they always talk about the year that they won the league like as a total fluke.
Yeah, but now it's like, well, actually, no, it's just great teamwork and great fitness levels and
Absolutely.
great tenacity. It gives you results, right?
Right. And then those stories came out like a month ago about who was it that said? Oh, it was Allardyce said that back in the day he could have got Vardy for $1 million, and then he actually admitted that he made a mistake in not taking him.
But you can have the best player in the world, but if you can't get them playing as a team, you just.
That's true.
That's what I mean. And Leicester play as a team. City, as good as they are, when they're playing well, they play as a team.
Absolutely.
I mean, they lose the ball and they work as a team to get the ball back straight away.
Right.
Right. They literally chase you down, right, and give you no option than to try like a 50-50 ball to one of your mates, and then they get it back. Thanks very much, right? Because they close you down, and Leicester do that.
It's funny on one of the NBC Sports Gold shows. It wasn't Weekend Review because that comes out on Monday. But one of the ones I was watching, it might have been Weekend Review from today. So it was Dion Dublin was on there and Lee Dixon was on there. So they were talking about they always talk about the big six teams first, and they were talking about the Man City game. That ended up in a draw this week, right? I'm pretty sure City drew this week.
Yeah, I think
and it was against like Newcastle. Yeah. Yep.
2-2,
Newcastle drew 2-2. So what they were saying was, they were talking about Sterling and basically how relaxed he looks even when he's running up and down the pitch or just about to score. Like there's never any like franticness. There's never any like super high level of urgency to his play, and like almost everybody on City kind of plays like that. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like the opposite of when you see like a wild beast like Antonio running up and down like a freight train. You know what I mean? Like people just want to get out of his way, and Sterling just kind of like, oh, I'll just go over here. We'll just go over here. You know what I mean? And then I'd like, it must have been before this week that I heard them say that. It must have been last week, because then I started like going, hey, they're kind of right. You know what I mean? Like, it's that relaxed
but
thing.
they know they're going to get like another 10 chances, right?
Right.
Whereas ours is like, if you mess it up, you might get one or two more, and that's it, done.
But also, right? what's more exciting to watch when it comes right down to it? Like, it's just like James Corden said at the beginning of last year when he did an interview on Men in Blazers, where he was, because he's an avid West Ham guy, and he said, if you are in America, he was basically saying if you're in America and you say, "Oh, okay, I'm a Premier League fan." Well, if you say that you're a City fan, we're going to go, "Oh, okay, sure." You know what I mean? But if you come out and you say you're a Leicester fan, or you're a Palace fan, or you're a West Ham fan, you're going to go, "Oh, my word." You know, he really cares about his team. You know what I mean? Because he was basically saying that if you cheer for somebody like United or City, it's boring. It can be boring. Because all they do is win all the time. There's no drama to it.
Yeah.
And with West Ham, you know, I mean, that's one of the things that instantly drew me to them, and that was before I even knew who they were. When I just randomly went to a game. You know, I grew up in Cleveland. Here I'm a Browns fan. There's a reason they called them the Cardiac Kids. You know what I mean? You're either going to be in the shit house or you're on top of the world. There's almost like no in between. Even though they're a mid-table team, you know what I mean? You're either going to be on the brink of almost getting into Europa League, or you're going to be in a relegation battle like every year.
Yeah, I remember talking about this to some friends not long ago. Exactly same topic, and it wasn't you. So yeah, just going to City and going to Liverpool games, it must be like you're just expected to win, right?
Sure.
And if you don't win, it's just failure,
right?
Right.
It's so weird.
Like in West Ham and people, you know, clubs like ours, you know, where we're, you know, mid-table kind of challengers, right? When we then go up against a big team and we get a result, like your emotional levels just go through the roof. And
it's always the better teams that we seem to get up for.
Yeah, I mean, like my wife videoed us scoring on Saturday, or whatever day it was. I lost track of days because of the long weekend, against Chelsea. And me and my two daughters, and my 2-year-old, as I was talking about earlier, and my 5-year-old, we're jumping around the living room.
That's awesome.
We scored.
That's the best.
Like, what a feeling! Like,
did she have a bubble machine going?
No. But my little 2-year-old was like kind of giving it all this and stuff, and just jumping up and down, and jumping up on me on the sofa. It's just like we went mental, absolutely mental.
Yeah,
because it meant that much, right? Now, if I was a City fan or Liverpool fan and we scored a goal to go, you know, 1 up or 2 up, would I have that same emotion?
No, you'd be. It's like you expect it.
Yeah, exactly. So I love.
You just get a little. Oh, good work. Good work, guys. Okay,
put a kettle on.
Exactly.
So no, and that's part of being a West Ham fan, right? Is those moments you get when when there's an upset, right? And that emotional roller coaster you go on with it.
That's the best.
It's amazing.
I mean, that's what being any sports fan is about. You know what I mean? If you're not feeling that, you know, level, I mean, that level of emotion about it, then, you know, why bother?
Yeah, I completely agree. And
Just take a nap.
And I love being a West Ham for that reason, right? It's just those wins, you know, just mean a lot. Those goals mean a lot.
Everything.
Just like, and the same in the reverse, right? I thought, who did we lose to a last minute VAR about a month or so
Palace?
ago? Yeah, I think it might have been Palace.
There
minute.
was a last minute VAR against Palace.
So
I'm almost positive, probably within the last 5.
Yeah,
so here we are at 13, and there was that Newcastle, and then Burnley, and then Tottenham. Now, I think it was before the Sheffield draw.
So,
was the Palace game.
So the reverse happens also, right? So I was watching that game. Fortunately, my family were out. And
fortunately or unfortunately?
Fortunately, because I dropped a lot of C-bombs. A hell of a lot. I had to take myself down to the basement where no one could hear me without.
Oh, if the walls and Powell could talk.
I was just screaming.
Nice.
Just continuously until I got it out of my system. Because I was that night just effed off.
Wow.
That I had to just go and vent.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah.
What do you think overall about VAR, by the way? Since I haven't had a chance to see you much this year yet.
Apart from it slowing down the game.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Like the celebrations, I mean, to be fair, the celebration I was just talking about, I know it was the second goal, Antonia's handball, and then we got ruled out.
I mean, when it comes right down to it, it was a handball.
Yeah, but we celebrated like
We
crazy,
we
right?
totally at Pub Mahone
so
too.
you kind of have that high emotion, and then it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I don't like VAR for that reason, because it ruins that emotional attachment to scoring a goal,
Right.
And whatnot. But as a leveler of making the game fair, I think it's amazing.
Right.
Because like you're not going to get cheated out of a goal, out of a loss, right? You're not going to get cheated out of it.
Right.
Because, like, how many times...
what you're saying is they're always going to bring the right decision to the table.
Yes.
Whether it takes the emotion out of this 5-minute chunk that we all have to wait for it or not. I just don't think that they are... Okay, so when they introduced it to the MLS, it was way overused at first. And then it just seemed like there was a lot less of it having to do with like whether or not a guy is offside, whether or not there was handball, but a lot more whether or not a penalty was being undertaken or not. And you never see that being questioned in the PL. It's weird. Yeah. Like straight up, like I can't remember what game it was earlier this year where Haller was clearly penalized against, you know what I mean? I can't remember what game it was, and he just kind of got up like, what? And everybody at the bar was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, where's VAR now? Yeah.
Even on the review shows on Monday, they were like, this is clearly a problem. Why aren't the VAR refs calling that stuff? It's just...
Yeah, that's right. And then
they just rather draw lines all day.
They show the replay quick enough, right? So they can do it, and the technology's there, and in other leagues they do it, right? And
sure.
I think even last week against Spurs, I think it might have been 1-0 to them or 0-0. I think Snodgrass got fouled in the penalty box, right, for penalty.
He sure did.
1-0 or 1-1, that changes the game. Right.
1,000%.
Right, changes the game. So, and it was a clear penalty. Everyone was saying on the TV penalty, right? So that's I don't like the fact that we're not using VAR for, like, if we're going to use it, for goals, like you kind of go, right, it's only for goals. It will just tell you if a goal is a goal or not a goal.
Right.
But if they're going to say, well, we can use it to serve as a penalty or
which
goal,
is what the MLS more or less does.
Yeah. So in rugby, instantly, they've been using like a VAR technology for donkey's years in rugby, right? And in American football, right? But they only use it for in rugby. They only use it for tries. Like if you score, the ref will go, "Is there any reason why I cannot award this try?"
Kind of like at a wedding. Is there any reason why these two can't be wed?
Yeah. But it's only asked once, right? When they score, it's not like it won't pull up any other infringement elsewhere. It'll only pull you up on if you score. So I think they just need to make a decision, like if it's just goals, or if it's goals and penalties, then let it be. But I think it's going to get better over the years. I think this year everyone's kind of like up in arms and throwing their dummies out of the prams and stuff because of it. But you got
to hope it's got to get better.
Well, it will.
It's not going to go away now that it's here.
It's the first time they've used it,
right.
So you're going to have some teething problems. And I think we've benefited it, and not this season, right, already. So
sure.
It should,
work itself out over time.
Yeah.
In the end, it'll just be more accepted.
Yeah, that the right decision. And to be fair, like if a ref gets it wrong, and it gives away a goal, and you lose by 1-0, at the end of the season, you will get relegated by 1 point.
Right. Then it'll be like some gigantic controversy when something like that happens.
Then if you go down, like you're dropping 50 million.
Right.
Right. So a 1-0 loss because a ref got it wrong.
Right. It can mean everything.
It can mean everything. And even if it's not, if you go down, right? But one position will there'll be at the end of the year, between like 10th and 17th, right? There'll be points. 1 point, 2 points, right?
Sure.
Between the teams.
Usually gets real tight at the bottom.
Yeah, and it is now, right? I mean, it's a reflection.
Well, we were able to jump from 17 to 13 just for the one win.
We're 4 from bottom, 4 points from bottom, and 4 points from 5th, right?
Yep.
That's how close it is.
It's wild.
So you get that, if one ref gets that wrong, one game, 1-0 loss, I mean, I think each position is worth what, 10 million or something. I don't know what the numbers are, but
I didn't. I don't know. Is there a breakdown?
Yeah. You get more money the more higher you finish, right?
Oh, okay.
So
I mean that makes sense. I just didn't know that.
So
it worked out
a
that way.
1-0 win. Say if it's 10 million, right, per position, just for argument's sake, like a 1-0 win because the ref got it wrong. That's
The rich just keep getting richer.
yeah, right. Or it would depend whoever it is, right? But you've lost. You're potentially going to lose 10 million for that one decision. So
Right.
VAR at that point makes absolute sense
Right.
from a business point of view.
Real quick, because I know we're getting real close here to. Oh my goodness, we've been chatting for almost a full 60 minutes. You all right there?
Yeah, I got excited.
So what's your prediction for Wednesday?
Draw.
You think it's going to be a draw?
Yeah.
1-1, 2-2, 3-3.
0-0 or 1-1. Low scoring, both teams. Wolves don't score too many goals. I've just said it. Wolves don't score too many. We don't score too many.
You were just saying they draw a lot, and now that I'm looking up here, you're absolutely right.
It's away. It's away, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's away. So it's a bit colder up there. I got draw written all over that. One win. I don't think we're going to get 2 back-to-back.
Okay.
Draw, and then on to Arsenal.
So right. So we shouldn't be flexing our muscles just too much, especially when we got Arsenal at London Stadium next week.
Yeah. We need to save ourselves for that, right? I mean, I'm there, so we gotta
Got to bring home a win, bro.
Give me a draw now, and then I'll take another win because probability says we're not going to win 3 in a row. So I don't want to. I'll take a draw.
Probability says we won't win 2 in a row, but
so I'll take the draw.
It has happened.
And then I'll take another win.
All right.
I'm not going to fancy my chances of 3 wins in a row, and I definitely want us to win against Arsenal.
Oh, lastly, before we go, I did want to get your thoughts on the FA Cup draw that we had today.
Oh, gentlemen.
Yeah, I know nothing about that team. Looks like they're a League One side.
Yeah, they're I don't even know where they are in their league.
Gillingham, FA Cup third round. Yep.
But you know what, FA Cup is special, right? It's a real special cup. And
then why isn't it really treated that way, especially by so many teams in the PL?
No, the FA Cup is.
No, I know that it's special. I mean, I understand why it should be special, but when it comes right down to it, managers, especially mid-table teams, they always put out. I mean, maybe everybody in the PL does, because like at some point the manager's got to manage so many 11s that you can't put out your strongest side for every game because you just wear everybody down. Thank goodness, West Ham's not in too many cups anymore. They're already out Caribou Cup, but I mean, super cool to do well in the FA Cup, except for it does mean that a lot of the games, in the springtime start getting moved around, and nobody likes that. But it just seems like, okay, so here we go. We'll play FA Cup. Obviously, Roberto's going to be back in goal for that.
Yes. Oh, I don't know. They might give Martin another continue a run out, right? I mean,
did it say when that game is?
No.
Is it in December? Wait a minute.
No, it's normally first weekend of January.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
then it'll probably be Martin then. So Fabianski will be back by then.
I reckon Martin will get his run there. I don't think they'll pull him out for that.
Sure.
He needs.
He'll still be number 2 at least.
He needs game time, right? So, but no, I think it's hard, right? The FA Cup, as I say, is special in England, and there's always an upset. Many upsets on that first weekend of January. Lots of big teams get knocked out by little teams because to them it is the cup final.
It is their cup final, right?
It is their cup final, right? And they are, they put every last ounce of energy into the game. Whereas the Premiership teams, they go, it's a League One team. We'll put in we'll put in our second team, and they go, it should be a walk in the park. So that level, that difference that makes them a Premiership league.
That's what makes them such great matchups.
Yeah, exactly. Right, because it levels it off, right? Because the complacency, sets in.
Until it gets later in the competition, and then they end up playing, PL teams versus PL teams, you know what I mean? And then you end up seeing stronger sides, at least in like second halves or people off the bench and stuff like that.
Yeah, you normally see a championships team normally make the semis in the FA Cup, right? It generally...
I'm always pulling for the little guys. I mean, unless they're playing West Ham.
Yeah, of course.
I just love the way that it's set up, the FA Cup. I mean, it literally like, Joe's barbershop team could do, they get to get in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's anybody.
It's open, right? And it takes over the weekends, right? They play at weekends, so they literally they've stopped the league games and moved league games over it, right? Which means it tells you that the FA, obviously, it's their cup, right? It's their league.
Sure.
They prioritize that over everything else, right? And like the FA Cup final is a special day for any fan, right? Over any cup, over any game. So it's real special.
Sure.
So I mean,
you're saying we should play a strong side?
Yeah. Well, the Liverpool final, what was it? I don't know how many years it was. 14 years ago. I went there that final with my dad. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable day. What a beautiful weekend out until long drive home from Cardiff. It was in Cardiff, no, not Wembley. Long drive home. Yeah, Wembley was getting refurbed. And, long drive home, and all you heard on the radio was like, Liverpool were lucky to win, and West Ham should have won. They were the better team, blah, 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 blah. You're like, yeah, but Stevie Gerrard just turned up, and 1 minute he was on the floor with cramp, and the next thing he knocks one in from 40 yards and then does it again.
Right.
Terrible. But yeah, awesome.
Made for an even longer drive.
Yeah.
You were deflated from that, though.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Damn. Sorry, bro.
But great weekend. Great weekend.
So that game, I still can't. My phone won't stay on long enough for me to figure out the day. So you don't think it's until January then?
No, FA Cup's normally first weekend of Jan, first or second weekend of January.
The third round. So before, I mean, there are rounds and rounds of tiny teams and League One sides and League Two sides and all kinds of people to get to this point.
Yeah. Lots of stuff goes on behind the scenes with all the little clubs, and then the Premier League come in on the third round.
That's cool.
I
just kind of feel like I just wish that the manager. Look, I don't care about anybody else. I wish that the West Ham manager would put a little bit more emphasis on that. I mean, I realize there's millions to be had. Finishing first of all, staying in the PL, and then finishing as high as you can in the PL. According to you're saying that there's like a scale, which makes total sense to me. I just didn't know that, but. The FA Cup, man, I just love the idea that it's like wide open like that.
Yeah, it's a fans' cup.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fans' cup. It's not for the club.
Sure.
It's for the fans, that one. The fans value it higher than what the club does.
Cool.
So, it's just unfortunate that we generally don't put in, our best effort early on, right? And it's just the way it is. But now at the moment, our squad's so depleted that we probably end up playing close to.
I mean, like at any given time, like can we really ever afford to not put in our best side? I mean, unless we just don't give a shit about the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the bench this year at the beginning of the year was the first time that the bench looked strong. Like you didn't really have to worry about the second guy coming on. You know what I mean? And now we're kind of like back to the way we always are.
Yeah, but we sold all that. We sold all our strikers in August.
Indeed. I mean, have you looked at the Claret and Hugh? Like every story is about West Ham's interested in this striker. West Ham's interested in this striker.
I refuse to read all that speculation because it's just none of it really ever comes off. You end up then going and buying
some of it does. Some right.
The majority that's written and how much of it comes off. Very little percentage.
Right. Still, it's nice to
I'm a numbers guy, right?
Right.
I work on data. It's like probability says, that's not going to come off.
Your Instagram is track coach.
Yes.
Are you actually a track coach?
Not over here, but yeah. I've been in Australia and England for many years. I coach track and ran track.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like all track and field events or like
sprints up to 400 and the hurdles. Yeah. So I've been doing it for years, since I was 10.
Yeah.
So it's and good success too.
Do you make the fast symbol like the FTD florist?
I do have a logo, which is pretty cool.
Yeah?
I'll show it to you. As a graphics guy, you'll be pretty impressed with it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'll show you after. Yeah.
All right, well, buddy, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was
Thank you very
awesome.
much.
Oh, my prediction for Wolves, just because you picked a draw, I'm going to go, big surprise, I'm going to go with a 2-1 West Ham win. I'm going to go with 2 wins. I realize the percentages go against us to take 3 in a row with
thanks.
Arsenal. So, but I think we're going to be riding high still day after tomorrow. I'm hoping.
Let's hope.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for today. Oh, look at the whole thing shaking right there. I'm sure it looks like an earthquake on our video right now. See everybody next week. If you're looking for the Columbus E13, you can find us on Instagram at the CMHE13, on Twitter at the Columbus E13, and on Facebook at Columbus E13. And we are the Columbus E13.